Hello again, Gills fans, and welcome back to Gills in the Blood TV for another Monday review. And unfortunately, is the first one of the league campaign where we have to talk about something other than a Gills victory, as we lost for the first time this season on Saturday at Walsall, going down by 2-1, as I'm sure you're all aware. Tom Eaves' late goal was merely a consolation, unfortunately, and ultimately a poor start and a poor first half cost us the game because we left ourselves too much to do and had to play catch up for the second 45 minutes. But manager Steve Lovell is not getting too downbeat about the situation, and he said in the paper after the game, "I'm happy with the boys, the way they are performing. I don't want to get too downbeat about it. We have lost a game at Walsall and perhaps a game that we should have got something from. If we'd got absolutely hammered and never looked like doing anything, I might be a bit worried, but I'm looking forward to Wednesday at home to Sunderland." Key thing there is it's great. It's only a couple of days before we get the chance to put it right in what will be a very exciting clash for the football club. But we'll talk about the Mackems more detail in a little while. But back to Steve, and he's talking about the Sunderland game in midweek. He put, "It's another experience for our boys and definitely a challenge for us. We're looking forward to it. We will learn from Saturday's game, and hopefully on Wednesday we will start bright like we have in the first 3 games of the season." The biggest thing for me, Steve Lovell's aware of what went wrong. Talk about it Monday, Tuesday, put it right on Wednesday. Walsall's forgotten about, isn't it? Let's be honest. Like I said, after the first 2 games, winning at Accrington and beating Burn at home wasn't going to mean that we were going to romp the league and get promoted by Christmas, much in the same way that losing 2-1 to a Walsall side that have started the campaign very well doesn't mean we're going to be entrenched in a relegation battle. Chances are we'll probably both be somewhere in between. It's 1 game out of 46. It's 1 poor half out of 8 halves this season over the 4 fixtures that we've fulfilled so far. So we move on. Like I said, as long as we learn from it, as long as we don't make the same mistakes, then it's done. But yeah, a little bit more from Steve just inside the paper, just regarding that poor start. We can't just turn it on and off. He says, "You have to start games from first whistle and take command. We have done that in our first 3, but our first 10 minutes we took a little bit of time to get into the game, which gave Walsall the impetus to get forward. They deserved to get a goal in the first period, and we perhaps deserved a couple in the second, but they didn't come." Lovell went on to say, "I was disappointed the way we conceded, but pleased with the way the boys responded. Second half, I thought we were unlucky not to get something out of the game. Over the course of 90 minutes, they probably deserved to win it. It would have been a good one for the neutral because it was end-to-end stuff." Can't give teams 2 new head starts, I suppose, is probably the biggest thing to learn. And I had a good listen to the Gills Fancast podcast over the weekend. Another interesting listen with James and Reese. I did pull James on a couple of points. I thought he was a little bit harsh on Max Amar. I mean, obviously James was at the ground, so was Reese, so that's fair enough. They saw more of it than me. But just looking at the goal on the highlights as an isolated incident, I thought to dig Max Amar out so much was a little bit harsh. He's not the quickest, but Morgan Ferrier was like an express train. And yes, James mentioned that maybe he should have shown him onto his weaker foot, his left foot. Should have kicked him, maybe fouled him. Could have stopped him at Saunce at the halfway line. But for me, the problem arises because Mark Byrne, who very rarely makes a mistake, I'd like to add, plays a very poor ball, and within seconds most of our side are out of the game. You've then got a one-on-one situation where Morgan Ferrier is running at Max Amar. Max Amar doesn't want to jump in because obviously if he does that, Ferrier's away and through on goal, and then he gets blamed for diving in too quick. So it's probably a catch-22 situation for Max a little bit. He's tried to do his best, but for me, rather than blaming us, I think we just have to, or blaming Max. I mean, obviously, like I said, he could have shown him down the line potentially, but Mark Byrne's more to blame for me, unfortunately, and we don't say that very often. But instead of blaming our players, let's just say hats off to Ferrier. It's a really good hit, cuts inside onto his right foot, and from then on it's an absolute missile. I think you could have probably put Tom Adler next to Thomas Oley in the goal and it would have still gone in the top corner. So credit where credit's due, it's a really good goal. Second goal wasn't brilliant defensively again. As a whole, collectively, it just looked like there was 1 or 2 passing the buck and passing responsibility on. And it's a scruffy finish that bounces in off the far post through a load of bodies. But credit to boys like Steve Lovell said, they bucked their ideas up second half, and we made a few changes and tried to get back into the game. It just wasn't to be. So it's one of them. We put it down as a bad day at the office for me, and then we move on to Wednesday, and then obviously Saturday we've got Coventry at home as well. So it's a good opportunity this week with 2 home fixtures. And like we do usually, I just want to read Luke Cordell's final paragraph of his match report. Gillingham had lost out to a sprightly looking Walsall team, but had shown enough themselves to have got something from the game in the latter stages. The home side deserved the win, but on this evidence, contrary to what is predicted, neither of these 2 teams should struggle. I think I've already mentioned, I said I don't think either side's going to, you know, win the league at a canter, and I don't think, looking at what we've seen so far, and I must admit I had Walsall down to get relegated. I thought they'd had a troubling summer, I suppose, in terms of recruitment. They'd lost their best player in Erhun Öztürk to Championship outfit Bolton, and I just couldn't see where the goals would come from, but they've started really well, so credit to them. It'll be interesting to see how we both go from here, and obviously it'll be more interesting from our point of view how we do react on Wednesday. But one man obviously scored our goal, and I'm going to do a little in focus, and that is this fella coming up on your screen right now. That is, of course, Saturday's scorer and last season's top scorer, Thomas Eaves, who basically reiterates what's been said on social media, what Steve Lovell's come out and said, and that is that he just felt we started a little bit too sluggishly on Saturday, and ultimately it cost us. But from a personal point of view, obviously he's up to 3 goals already this season, and that is without a real pre-season. He only played 90 minutes through the summer, picked up an ankle problem and spent most of his time in an altitude chamber, I think, after that, but seemed to have got back a bit quicker than we thought. Come off the bench earlier than we thought he would do at home to Burton last Saturday, and scored 2 really good goals and nodded in a consolation on Saturday. So great to see Tom continuing where he left off last season, but a bit quicker as well, because obviously we didn't score for the first month of the season during 2017-18, so he's underway a lot quicker, so bodes well. Long may it continue. And in terms of him and his goal scoring exploits, he says the target is to beat last season, hopefully go over 20, and if I can, it's a good start so far. Let's start how we mean to go on. He's going to have a big impact again this season. He's hard to play against because he's a big lump. He can run in behind, he can play with his back to goal. There was a lot of talk at the Q&A by Steve Lovell about wanting him to stay in between the posts, in the danger areas, in the 6-yard box, in the 18-yard box, more than drifting out wide and trying to get possession, and then almost being a provider for and delivering balls that he'd like to be on the end of, so to speak. So I think in terms of the 3 goals that he scored this season already, it's really promising. First one was a really good finish when he got played in by Brandon Hanlon against Burton last weekend. The second one was a proper poacher's goal, reacting the quickest after Brandon Hanlon's shot had been spilled, and it's a proper striker's header on Saturday, isn't it? Unfortunately it came a little too late, but it's a really good finish again. And while we're on that, I'm going to obviously just make one point about a fellow striker, because we're obviously talking about Thomas Eaves in focus here, and I think he'll probably be our top scorer again now. I've just said it. He's just a good footballer at this level, so, and there was a few that were saying maybe last season was a bit of a fluke and a one-off, and it's fair enough, because up until last season his goal scoring record wasn't particularly prolific, but he started this season in really good fashion, and he's only going to go from strength to strength the more he gets fit, I think, so promising for us. But yeah, Connor Wilkinson, really good ball in for the goal for us. He looked bright, it seems, when he came off the bench. He's another one who's struggled with injuries throughout pre-season. If we can get him fit and firing, then it adds another string to our bow, another option in terms of an offensive sense. So really good to see him back out on there and contributing to the calls. But yeah, Tom Eaves in amongst the goals already. Is he fully fit? Maybe not. Is he already up and running in terms of goals? Most definitely. Will he get stronger? Fingers crossed. I said the other week, 15 plus I think he'll get. Stick with it. But anyway, that's enough about Saturday. We also have a massive game on Wednesday evening. Don't remember playing on a Wednesday, to be honest, for a long time, with Gill's fixture in the league especially. A couple of FA Cup replays that we probably don't want to talk about, Brackley Town. But yeah, we host A team that was in the Premier League 2 seasons ago and unfortunately have suffered the harsh reality of back-to-back relegations, and that is this lot coming up on your screen right now. That is, of course, North East heavyweight Sunderland, down in the 3rd tier for the first time in a very long time. Back-to-back relegations, as I've already mentioned, but they seem to be sorting themselves out. In terms of a prediction in pre-season, I did my pre-season preview and League One predictions. I said I had them down to finish 7th. I thought they might just miss out. We've seen a few times teams that have come down from Championship into League One who have not been down that far for a long time, and it's just taken them quite a while to adjust. But in fairness to the Mackems, they've started really well. They've picked up 7 points from their first 9. They were really good at the weekend. Really good win against the Scunthorpe side that was up in and around the top 6 last season. They saw off Charlton at home late on in their first game of the season at home at the Stadium of Light. So it seems they've adjusted pretty quickly. And their other league game, I think, was a 1-1 draw at Luton. So if we're looking for positives from a Gills point of view, not some, only 1 point on the road, but they're unbeaten and they're going to cause us problems. If you just look at their playing staff on any sort of football app or website, Brian Oviedo international, Aidan McGeady international. Look at the people they've brought in during the summer. They've got excellent pedigree at this level and probably a bit higher. Glenn Louvens, Tom Flanagan, Max Power, Jack Baldwin, Charlie White. Do I need to go on? It's going to be a really, really big test for this Gillingham side that has got a few youngsters in it. And again, I'll reiterate what I said at the start of the season, pre-season. We're going to have to bear with them from time to time. Sometimes it's not going to go as we want it to. But for me at the moment, we're trying to play the right way. We're trying to do things correctly. We have a plan, which is great. It's something that we probably haven't had for a couple of seasons up until Steve Lovell took over. So I think it's a case of let's go and enjoy it for what it is. It's going to be a really good atmosphere. I think Sunderland are bringing about 2,000 down. I think I saw on social media that there's a crowd of around 7,000 expected already, and that's without another two-day sales or people buying on the night. So it should be a really good event. In terms of team news for us, no Josh Reese and no Dean Parrott, I would imagine. Elliot List is in contention, but Steve Lovell does mention in the paper that there was a couple that he just thought were struggling with tiredness, and that is Billy Bingham and Brandon Hanlon. Obviously Brandon is new to this level and he's played pretty much every minute so far. Billy Bingham, we have to bear in mind, is coming back from a very, very lengthy injury layoff last season, a broken leg. So it might be that we see 1 or 2 changes. So in terms of a team for us, I've had a look, I've changed my mind about 30 times. I would go with the following personnel for Wednesday evening. I'd go with Thomas Holy in goal, and then a back 4 of Luke O'Neill, Gabriel Zaquani, Max Amar and Bradley Garmston. I'm not for changing it after one poor half of football, because they've been generally good all season so far, that back 5. And then I'm going to pick 4 in midfield, and then 2 up top, but it could be a 4-2-3-1 as well without having to make any substitutions, so to speak. So I think we're going to have to be flexible. I think Sunderland will cause us problems. They're going to probably have a lot of the ball. So I would start with Mark Byrne and Callum Riley, Regan Charles Cook, Navid Nasseri, Josh Parker and Tom Eaves, on the basis then that if we want to play 2 sitting, we can play Burner and Callum Riley next to each other, and then we could play Regan Charles Cook, Navid Nasseri and Josh Parker as a 3 in behind Tom Eaves. Or if we stick with a diamond, it could be Mark Byrne sitting or Callum Riley, then one of them from the side, Regan Charles Cook from the other side, Navid Nasseri at the point of the diamond, and then I've gone with Tom Eaves and Josh Parker up front. There's been quite a debate amongst a few Gillingham fans over the last couple of days and last week about Josh Parker. Obviously brought himself to attention with that horrendous penalty at the New Den last Tuesday, unfortunately. But in terms of performance, I can't say too much. I wasn't there Saturday, but a few have said he weren't quite at it. He's not a number 10, so he should be playing. If he's playing for me, he plays from the left-hand side or he plays up top. So that's why I've kept him in the side, on the fact that he did score a lot of goals for us last season. Tom Eaves scored a lot of goals for us last season. So for me, let's go back to tried and trusted for what we know is going to be a very big test. Stick with a get your words out, Matthew. A central defensive partnership that we know worked well for the majority of last season and has started very well this season in terms of Max Amar and Gabriel Zaquani. And then obviously Mark Byrne, Callum Riley were a big part of our success under Steve Lovell last season as well, and Thomas Holy behind all of them. So for me, strong spine will be key. I haven't written a prediction down yet, but I'm going to do one. I think it could be a really, really good game. Jules, I've looked at home to Burton. I thought we was a bit open at times. Whether we can afford to do that, I'm not sure against Sunderland. They're probably going to be a step up on Burton Albion, no disrespect to Nigel Clough's men. But I think, aside from the first half against Walsall, we've been very good so far this term. So I am going to say that the game will finish Gillingham 1, Sunderland 1, and Regan Charles Cook will score the Gillingham goal. That's me done. I will see you all on Wednesday for Matchday Live. I believe Boz and Stocky are both in attendance as well, which will be good. We will see you at the ground. We are really looking forward to it. It should be a really good midweek fixture. As always, thanks for all your support. Keep commenting down there on YouTube. You know the rest, all the socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Please follow, like, subscribe, share and all that. And until next time, up the Gills.